Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market, where today, Mischief eating the sample plant is perfectly okay for once. Look at him, he's trying to act bashful. So, this plant before you is something that I've wanted to cover for quite some time, and it is single handedly one of the most important plants in agriculture today. Now, those of you with good eyes are looking at it going, wait, he isn't actually gonna. No way. No way. Whoa. What is that? What is that? Well, zooming up just a little bit so you can see the seed heads, I'm going to... Okay, so you can see the seed heads and Mischief's big old head. The scientific name of this plant is Avena sativa, commonly called oats. Or, if you're growing it intentionally for any other reason, catgrass. One of the major catgrass species that is used for cat pleasure, which, as you can see, he's going whole ham over there, is conventional oats. The common cultivated oat that you get in oatmeal, in fact. Those are rolled oats. They smush them to make them look like that. Oats are in the family Poaceae, which includes all true grasses. So that's worthy of note right there. The name Avena, its origins are not exactly clear. However, it is thought that it may be from Sanskrit, avi, meaning sheep, or avasa, meaning foodstuff. Sativa means cultivated. So this plant is very cultured. Yes, it's so cultured. We play Mozart for it out in the garden. Anyway, it's interesting. The history of oats is interesting because apparently the Romans didn't give it much regard, much to their detriment, because oats are very productive. They referred to the European tribes that were eating it, they referred to it as basically something like barbarian bread. It wasn't a nice term, and it demonstrated how easily someone who thinks they know everything can look down on something and then get hoisted on their own petard later. Now, the original species of oats that would become domesticated oats is native to Asia and Europe, and you can find genetic ancestors directly related to this there. It is grown in USA zones 2 through 10, and I've heard some mention of it possibly being semi hardy in colder climates, but I don't buy that grain of salt. It is grown as an annual in pretty much everything, and of course, Mischief is over there eating it like it's an annual. So, its exposure is full sun, though it will tolerate some partial in the case of its baby form, which you can pulverize and probably put in a smoothie. I'm not 100% sure of that because, its height can be up to 5.9 feet. So basically 5 foot 9 inches, maybe 5 foot 10. I mean, that's some serious grass. Its width can be about 3 to 6 inches wide per individual plant. However, as you can see in the case of my specimen here, that is probably not the case. It is also known as the common oat. But there's some facts we need to cover before we move on. Oats can be used as a ground cover, a green manure, erosion control, or weed control. Look at how dense they are. Only one thing managed to grow in this pot of former catgrass that I put out to a bit too long, and now it's going to become green for me later. Only one thing managed to punch through, and that was a grape seed somehow. And that's probably because it was air delivered by a bird, and that got plucked. There's nothing else in that pot but oats, which is impressive. I mean, this grass got it all. Now, interestingly, Avena sativa, or common oat, and naked oat, A. sativa variety nuda, diverged 51,000 years ago, 51,200 years ago, before we domesticated oats as we know it. Which is interesting genetically because it means that two different forms came off their parent form, whatever that happened to be. I didn't delve too deeply into oat history because, it's a deep, complicated topic. But anyway, humans were cultivating oats before they were domesticated. A pre-Neolithic granary which was roughly 11,400 years to 11,200 years old, roughly speaking, years in the Jordan Valley, had remnants of wild barley and oats in pottery jars in their granary, which shows that we were at least harvesting it, if not outright cultivating it, but not necessarily selecting it for better strains at the time, which means it's been with us a while. There are a handful of foods that have been with us a while that we really ought to consider more often. Like, for instance, figs have been with us at least as long in a similar amount. Now, oats are exclusively wind pollinated. Now, unfortunately, on the specimen, there don't seem to be any flowers out, and these are the fertilized seed heads, which I will harvest from later. Canada, as it turns out, leads the world in oats production as of 2022, which is very interesting. I believe China is second, but don't quote me on that one. These plants are surprisingly cold tolerant and will withstand certain levels of frost, which is kind of nice because you can grow a late crop into the winter in the Carolinas if you wanted to. Additionally, for production purposes, if you're going to grow this for grain for yourself, on average, it's estimated that you need one peck per family. Now, I'm assuming that is a family of four, but I didn't see family number information on hand, so I don't know. And here comes Polka. She's going to get her grass. What's up, Polka? Anyway, it is estimated that to grow a peck of oats in this case, you'll need 166 square feet of oats plants. That's a lot of square feet. I didn't actually sit down and do the math on what kind of actual dimensions of plot that would be, but y'all can figure it out. I mean, y'all are pretty smart people. Now, interestingly, one peck equals a fourth of a bushel. And an individual peck is 2 dry gallons, or 297.8 dry ounces. Now, I want to say that conversion numbers for that, because the grain would be a dry item, were a pain in the butt to find because apparently everyone goes straight to fluid for some dumb reason. But anyway, that's the skinny on it. Now, as for growing this, it's super easy. Oats will come up because they are a grass. They will tolerate a lot of mishandling. I water them and barely fertilize them and got this in I want to say that's a 16, somewhere between a 12 and a 16-inch pot. It might be a 14 even. It dries out every day at this time of the year, but we're hitting 90-degree temperatures, so don't surprise. And that's about it. I brought it in, and the cats are going to love it. In fact, this went out because Big Butt over here was sleeping in it. He's like, this is mine, my bed, mine. But anyway, your cats will thank you, it's healthy for them, and you get grain out of the deal. That's the best reason you should grow oats. Now, of course, I'm going to caution you. Not all cat grass seed packets are using oats. Be careful and look for ones that say Avena sativa. I mean, I'm sure the other cat grasses are safe, but if you want to also get oats for yourself when they chew them down and you want them to grow back, that's what you want to go for. And this is the same oats that they put in fields, even though they may or may not have specific varieties for that. Well, they do have specific varieties for better production levels. So, that's all I have for you on growing oats. If you have any questions, put it in the comments section. If you have any thoughts about growing oats, please go ahead and have them. If you like this episode, please hit like. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. It helps the channel. And the Forage blog is up and running. We're doing exclusives for May's Forage Tour. June is coming up at the end of June, so we'll cover that later. As always, folks, keep them growing, and thanks for watching. And, wow, I think she's going vegan over there. Look at her go. Delicious.